So this is Mark Henninger, the senior editor at AVS Forum, and I am at the JVC booth, which is one of the booths you really want to be at if you're at this show, with Chris Deutsch, and he's going to talk about the new models, which are sort of like a wish list fulfillment, I think, for AVS home theater enthusiasts.
Yes. So, we know that people have always enjoyed our black level and our native contrast, and that's the hallmark of the DILA imaging chips. But also, without question, people have been wanting 4K, and they want native 4K. So we have 3 new models that have a native 4K JVC DILA chip. And I know it's been talked about a lot on the forums, but this is an all-new design. This is what we're referring to as our 3rd generation native 4K DILA device.
Yeah, that's really cool. There's a lot of speculation as to whether that's what we're going to see this year. And the cool thing is that when you do have native 4K, you can actually then apply the technology. Oh, all right, there was the first one. That's all right. I know. All right, back it up. So, yeah, that's definitely really cool. And the thing is that because you've got native 4K, you can also apply the technology, the eShift that you've been working on for some time. And so at this show, there's actually something a little bit special, extra.
Right. So we've been doing 8K eShift on the simulation side for models that we sell for the flight simulation market. And you're training airplane pilots and military pilots and NASA people in mission critical in situations in multi-million-dollar facilities, and they need to show something with the detail to test the pilot's vision. Is basically in a nutshell. So we've been doing 8K eShift that way for quite a while. Now we're bringing it to the home theater market with the DLA RS3000, which is also sold as the DLA NX9, and that's going to be the world's first home theater projector with 8K eShift.
Wow, I mean, that's really awesome. And, pilots, usually they do have very good vision, but that does speak to the fact that there is something more to human visual acuity than what 4K can cover.
Exactly. And again, knowing the AVS Forum audience, I also want to make it clear what we're doing and what we're not doing. And so I'll kind of explain what you see in the theater, and then I'll apply that to what it might be in someone's actual home. So in that theater, we have actual 8K content from a company called Mystery Box. And that content is 8K, it's 60p, it's HDR, it's BT 2020. And that content lives on a 7th Sense server. Okay, so this is a big multimedia server with multiple terabytes of storage. And the server outputs that as 4K 60p HDR BT 2020. So there is no 8K input. There's not a lot, if any, current, availability of 8K sources. So what we're trying to do, there's no roadmap to an 8K input on this product, and nor do I think there will be for several years. I just don't think it's going to be necessary, because I don't think it's going to be a mainstream thing. But what is mainstream is 4K. So we're going to take that 4K content and we're going to then apply 8K eShift to enhance that content. All right? And it's fully defeatable. It's like a lot of other things. Some people are going to say, wow, I see it, this is awesome, this is great, I love it. And other people are maybe going to be the mindset, you know what, I'm buying this projector maybe because of the killer lens, and I'm going to actually turn off the 8K eShift. Whatever makes sense for you is cool, but particularly if you have a larger screen, you're really going to, I think, enjoy a subtle but meaningful benefit from the 8K eShift.
Sure, and we're seeing that with the TVs as well. There's no actual content, but what there is a maximizing of the of upsampling algorithms and having a palette or whatever, a canvas that is more resolute, just to draw out that processed video on it. And so yeah, you feed it the best possible source, and it can actually work with that.
Right. Now, another thing we should probably talk about that kind of goes hand in hand, along with the opportunity for better resolution, there's also an opportunity for better color. And we also, again, give people a choice, which particularly is important for the AVS audience. And what I'm talking about is our cinema filter and how we apply that to give you the option of a wider color gamut. So you have the choice with both the midline model, the RS2000 or the NX7, and with the RS3000 or the NX9. You can either use the cinema filter and you can achieve over 100% of DCI-P3 color range, or and there is a hit in brightness. Now, people have been speculating about this as well. It's around 20%. We don't have the final numbers. So if you use the filter, you're going to drop your brightness about 20%. If you have a 150 or 160 inch or larger screen, that's probably not something you want to do. But if you have 110, 120 screen, somewhere in that size range, you got plenty of brightness. You might very well choose to use that cinema filter to get the wider range of the DCI-P3 color. For folks that do want the maximum brightness, you can turn off the cinema filter. You can disengage it. It's actually a mechanical filter that moves in or out of the light path. And when you take that filter out, you're down to probably about 90%-ish, give or take a few. Again, no final numbers yet. We'll quite possibly get those from your readers. But you get the 100% of the brightness that's available, of the calibrated brightness.
Sure, and you're still getting a full BT709 without that filter. So
Exactly.
If you're watching a Blu-ray, then
yeah, then that's not an issue either. So there's a lot of options that are out there, to really dial this into your particular home theater environment. Another great one worth mentioning is the fact, that we have a manual lens aperture, and so you can fine-tune the actual brightness that you want, and then you can also choose to either, I just want to stick with native contrast, or I want to use one of the automatic modes to dynamically enhance the contrast.
Right, so if you're really a control freak, as it were, you can take over this projector and just dial in exactly what you want. But if you're not, and you actually want to let it, sort of ride the algorithm and try to get you the best result from that approach, it's your choice.
Yes, and along those lines, we have a new feature called auto tone mapping, which is also being talked about a lot on the forum. So as we all know, the 4K Ultra HD discs are mastered to a wide range of different standards, particularly as to peak and average brightness. So we have an auto tone mapping feature, which will read the metadata. Now, hopefully the metadata is accurate, and hopefully it's there. We know there's a couple of cases where it's not. But with most discs, it's going to read that metadata, and it's going to set a correct curve so that you get a plug-and-play result. You're able to watch the movies and not have to be constantly fiddling with things. Now, I know that the AVS audience is still going to do that and probably going to take it to the next level, but if you just want to load up a disc and get good results, you can. And there is a fine adjustment. There is a control in the menu. So we tell you in the instruction book, this is kind of dialed in for a certain size screen. And then you can know, well, my screen's either bigger or smaller, and so I'm going to dial it up or down to get to the right range for my screen, and then let the automatic function do its work. And these features that I'm talking to you about here, the auto tone mapping, that's on every model. The manual aperture, that's on every one of these models. And we've also improved the lens memory. We call it installation mode, and we pretty much borrowed it from the $35,000 RS4500. And so that installation mode with 10 memories is on all three of these projectors, in addition to the common focus, zoom, and shift controls that can be memorized. So you can set up a 16:9 image, and you can set up an ultra wide image, and with 10 memories you can set up as many aspect ratios as you want, pretty much. The installation mode also lets you memorize things like anamorphic scaling on or off, masking. Maybe you don't want anything shooting over the edges of the frame when you zoom it, so you can control that. And you can even tie that in to the 12-volt trigger. So you choose a particular installation mode that gives you ultra wide, and maybe you have a motorized masking system, and so when it goes to that mode, it also engages the masking and opens it up so you get the ultra wide screen.
Holy smokes. Well,
And that's even on the entry level, the RS1000 or the NX5. Yes,
Right,
amazing value.
yeah, we're talking about home theater, like, I guess, addressing the needs of the serious home theater enthusiast. Yeah.
Your audience.
Sweet. Well,
Yeah.
we appreciate it, and it shows that you're listening. I mean,
I'm looking at the forums literally every day, and I enjoy it. It's a great way to get a sense of, what's going on in the market, what we're doing good, what we could be doing better. Oh, you know what? I'd be remiss if I didn't also say another thing that's been asked for years and years. It's like, give us USB firmware updates. So we got it on all 3 models.
right on.
So, that's a whole bunch easier. Lots of things like that. We're definitely listening. We appreciate the enthusiasm in the forums. What you guys are doing is awesome.
Cool. Well, thanks for that thorough overview. All right.
All right. Have a good one.
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and be sure to subscribe to this channel.